Time is sparse. We're born and die in the blink of an eye. I think time is the single most important resource we all have, because once you run out of it, everything fades to black, and this play doesn't have a second act. Why then? Why have I spent a month of my very limited time playing a game with no end? To answer that question, we have to start at the beginning and explore why I started in the first place. And it all began about a month ago. You see, there was a hole in my life. Since forever, I had used video games to escape the daily misery of life. Sadly, the older I get, the less time I have, so I would often spend the limited time I have on games I already knew I would love. One of those games being Warframe. For those of you who are not familiar with Warframe, just like Destiny, it's a looter shooter set in space. Now, the two games are very different, and even though they get compared very often, have very different playstyles and target audiences. I have sank more than 500 hours in the game across all platforms, and I plan on making some videos on it after my current obsession subsides. Subscribe if you want to see those. But a friend who played with me mentioned Destiny 2. After a few days of nagging, he convinced me, and I downloaded Destiny 2. And that was the last time I saw my family, because this is genuinely one of the biggest obsessions I've had in a while. And here is my journey. Now, just a quick spoiler alert. Before I continue, if you saw the footage so far and liked it, go and play it. Then come back and go to watch my 60 seconds video on it. Why?
Because you should.
I'll wait. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's properly begin. The game's first seconds are some of the most captivating I've seen in a while. It actually kind of reminded me of watching Transformers for the first time. The bigger than life scale, the mystery that lies in an alien artifact. Immediately, I was really excited. The story begins with a shuttle landing on Mars. Some generic sci-fi font and dramatic music later, we start climbing up a hill, at the top of which we find it. The thing on all of those YouTube thumbnails I have been seeing for years. A quick title screen and the true story begins. In this universe, Yin and Yang is the name of the game, and everything is light or dark. Very two-dimensional if you ask me. And this clickbait thing is called the Traveler, and it is basically light. And this dude is Darkness, who has been pursuing the Traveler for some reason. As a self-defense mechanism, the Traveler created the Ghost, who wield the power of light. That's basically life. The bearer will keep respawning until you... So they find the dead body and bring it back to life. Then we get a quick introduction into all the enemies who will be fighting.
System arrived in droves. Pirates, called the Fallen, came to scavenge the remains of our golden age. The warlike Cabal came for our territory and resources for conquest. The Hive, ravenous worshippers of death, came to feed their infernal hunger. And the Vex, strange living machines, came to recreate our world in their own brutal image.
We get a look into all the fighting that happened after, but eventually people rebuild a city on Earth right below the Traveler, sticking to it like a 5-year-old to his mom's skirt. And this is where we're introduced to the classes of Guardians.
The Titans, paragons of strength and bravery. The Warlocks, mage scholars trained in the arcane arts. And the Hunters, bold adventurers gifted with cunning.
Something I found weird is if you just Google Destiny 2 intro clips, there are a few different ones. And I think that's a good thing. It means they've worked on the new player experience. However, what is not so good is this old clip. Have a look.
I never knew you in life. Your first life, anyway. You died on a battlefield long before my time. Something special brought us together. They called it the Traveler. And when it arrived, it changed your world forever. It was a golden age. And for centuries, humanity thrived. Until it didn't.
I think that really made Shakespeare jealous. Anyway.
And now, new threats use our own powers against us. The Black Fleet closes in, edging us toward a second collapse. And our greatest adversary, the voice in the darkness, is revealed. A being of unimaginable power. The witness.
After watching this introduction, I'm not gonna lie, I was hype. I knew my evening and weekend was settled. They did such a good job here in making my inner kid happy. And of course, the next step was the tutorial. You're told you have been dead for a while.
Guardian. Guardian? Eyes up, Guardian. It worked. You're alive. You don't know how long I've been looking for you. I'm a ghost. Actually, now I'm your ghost. And you? Well, you've been dead a long time. So you're going to see a lot of things you won't understand.
And now you have been chosen to be an immortal lightbearer / guardian, which is cool and all, but how did I die in a scrapyard? I guess I'll never know. But one thing I know is these graphics are amazing for what the game is. I want you all to remember as I continue this video, this is a free-to-play game, and it is surprisingly high quality. Anyway, you find the weapon and play through this downright horror game-esque level where you shoot whoever's in front. But this part you're watching right now had me on the edge of my seat. For some reason, I was scared to be hit and even more to die. And I wanna say this is something I haven't felt since the Souls series. But this kind of experience is priceless. It doesn't take long until you're a space magic wielding god, so this is special. Regardless of my final opinion on the game, I look back even now and I'm amazed at how well this game gripped me. And this is my first interaction with the menu so far. To say this was confusing would be an understatement. I'm baffled anyone can innately understand this. If you understand this, you deserve to just get a college degree. I mean, Harvard, Stanford, I don't know, you just get a college, there you go, you've graduated, bye. Maybe it's just because I'm too bored to read the description of things, but for the first few weeks of gameplay, I completely ignored anything else but this big flashy number at the top. Now I know how pointless this is, but I didn't at the time. And how is a new player expected to know how useless it is? It is all super overwhelming. And talking about overwhelming, right after this tunnel, I was thrown into the world to push back the assault, but I was genuinely so baffled at everything that even though I was told
Focus on the ball.
I immediately started doing this. And even though the story just kept progressing on its own, I kept fighting this giant thing and even got my first loot from killing it. Looking at it now, I think it just so happened to be an event there. But I genuinely don't know if this was part of the experience, if this was scripted or not. Anyway, this guy Sean needs our help, so I waddle my way to him and get genuinely jump scared here. You can even see my mouse jumping all over the screen. So I take revenge and find Sean, who almost kills me. And yeah, I don't like him. He asks that we help him find his missing team, but then he just teleports and leaves us alone? Could he always do this? This is never explained. What he does explain to us though is some generic sci-fi shiz. Namely, something is causing interference. So we set off to fix that issue because God knows it can't just be a loose internet cable. Here I was introduced to the steps, which is basically old Russia. The rest of the mission is me completing some minor stuff for Sean that I later find out are just sort of preparing me for the public events. Nothing interesting, so I'll just fast forward a bit. Here we're told, Shawnee boy over here wants to avenge his fallen comrades and is going on a mission to defeat the big baddie on his own. Because, of course he does. But before we go after him, I'm introduced to the Sparrow. More on that later because I didn't realize this was a thing until later myself. We go after him and face off with the big baddie, Novata, who is a flying witch thing of some sort, and that's why she's bad. Because she's flying, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, exciting battle happens and she runs away right before I kill her, but we find Sean and we travel to the last city.
The last survivors of humanity's collapse call the city home. This is why I brought you back. To defend them. And to reclaim our lost worlds. We're here. The Traveler. The last city.
This is where I want to talk about the cutscenes in this game. They're epic. I love them. I don't know how they do it, but even though half of the time later in the game I have no idea what is going on, yet watching these clips is a definite highlight. I suppose it's not the story itself that had its grip on me, but the sheer grandeur of it all. And bear in mind, this is coming from someone who has been playing nothing but indie games for the past 2 years. I haven't even played God of War, so take it with a pinch of salt. Now we're introduced to the tower, what I would classify as this game's hub. Being here really made me feel like I had the freedom to explore the game for the first time on my own. And that was scary, because I had no idea what I was meant to do. All I know was go speak with the NPC and then go kill things. So I went and did just that. Spoke with all the NPCs until I got a quest from one of them. Well, to be clear, I was instructed to do so by quests. So there's still quite a bit of hand-holding, but I definitely felt like this was a big step. The first of the NPCs was this lady that literally did nothing. But the second one, Commander Zavala, he revealed something big to me. That dude I spent the last 3 hours with, Sean, his name was Shaw, not Sean. So you might be asking why I still refer to him as Sean in the script. Well, this is because I only just found out as I'm writing the script. I guess this goes to show how attached I was to characters. After this shocking conversation, I got invited to his office, but it was actually just so that I can take a weapon. But then I continued my escapade to speak with NPCs that then led me to Ikora, who made me almost fall asleep in her boring dialogue.
Welcome home, Guardian. I heard your journey to the lost city was an eventful one. It does not feel like it now.
But at least she gave me a purple ghosting to match my oxygen-deprived skin tone. Then I get a bit of exposition about a character called Cade 6, for who I do not care one bit, but he seems to be mentioned quite a bit. I complete some obligatory stuff with Ikora and move on to the Drifter, who gave me a sword, then Banshee 44, who I'm told is the gunsmith, and fittingly she gave me one. Then Master Rahu, who introduced me to my first of many microtransaction systems, the Season Pass. I just want to mention here that at the time I thought very little of it, but trust me, it gets worse. Even if it was just the Season Pass system, this is very poorly executed. In here, you can get upgrade materials and weapons. Now, this is a looter-shooter game, and I don't see how you can justify skipping the looting part by paying money. It feels a bit unnatural. Don't get me wrong, other games have similar systems. Warframe has a season/battle pass system, but it is completely free. There is no paid version at all, and the rewards there are rarely, if ever, weapons. Attaining these weapons is one of the main points of the game itself. As I said, I didn't think much of it and just closed the window and continued to Zavala, who gave me a mission. The mission was to complete a strike, and a strike is, well, I'm not sure how it is unique to any other mission other than it's just a dungeon that you complete with 2 other players, but this one allowed me to finally kill Navota. Well, for me it mostly looked like this. To be honest, this guy did most, if not all of the work here. Yeah, even after all of this, I'm still not familiar with the game. I kept pressing my grenade ability when I meant to use melee, and the whole melee ability confused me. Where sometimes I would just do a normal melee, but other times I would be throwing knives, and this took a while to get used to. But the story continues.
Navota is no more, and you have continued to impress us with your ongoing successes, Guardian. With help from Guardians like you, we have come to a greater understanding of the truth. The darkness is not what we first assumed. Like the light, it is a powerful tool of paracausal energy. Despite my earlier misgivings, we have learned how to harness it to help humanity. Just as our enemies have found ways to wield the light against us. What we once thought was the darkness, the vile entity responsible for our great collapse, is now known to us as the Witness. For the first time in hundreds of years, the Traveler left the last city to directly confront it in Earth's orbit. And the Vanguard needs you now more than ever. Come see me for some important assignments, Guardian.
Now I felt ready. I was at 1620 power and that made me feel good. Even though I did not know the scope or meaning of this number, but big number, good. Even though things like this were still happening to me. I felt good about my progress. Another number that went up that day was my rank. I discovered the ranking system that would give you a few things to complete, and after you were done, you get to level up. I found this was the best tool the game had to teach me on how to have fun, because really at this stage, the game's job was to tell me how I'm meant to enjoy this game, especially as a free-to-play user who hasn't spent a penny. It wasn't great, but I certainly recommend that if you're new, you focus on completing these. Talking about being a free-to-play user, not even a minute after I ranked up, I was presented with a banner prompting me to buy the latest expansion. And now I don't have any problem with free-to-play games promoting their paid content. But the reason this gets a mention is because the content here is the story. And to really enjoy the story, I believe you need all the context. At this point, I had just leveled up to rank 2 and only had 20 power points more than the base points. I barely knew how to navigate the game menu, but navigating through Destiny's story content is even worse. If you go on their Steam page, you're bombarded with a whole bunch of expansions that do nothing to help you start the story from the beginning. Now, in-game there is this lovely timeline, but not everything is featured there, and I mean, sure, I could go on Google or YouTube and find out, but that often takes a good half an hour to understand, and I suppose that's where my problem with this system stands. At this point in the game, I hadn't even seen the aforementioned timeline. Not to mention, this banner doesn't do much in explaining what I'm buying. Oh, but it gets worse. After speaking with the lovely Zavala, I'm introduced to the already mentioned timeline, and I'm prompted to begin a quest called Forsaken. I'm sure many of you already know this, but Destiny offers a trial of their expansions, so you get to play a mission from each and try out the feel of it, and I hate it. As I said earlier, by the time I'm done with this, I have no idea what is happening in the game, but what I do know is the resolution of all the high stakes moments in the stories. And I don't know about you, but after something is spoiled for me, I cannot continue watching / playing it, and as you will soon find out, there is another big problem with these, and I don't know that Bungie is aware. Anyway, I begin the quest as I am required to do so. I am then shown a slideshow of Cade 6 and an introduction to who he is.
To understand where we are today, there's only one place to start. Cade 6. Cade 6 was the Hunter Vanguard, a mentor to every hunter in the tower. He was an infamous daredevil, a dependable fire team member, and our dear friend. He never missed a chance to make light of the situation, even in dark times. Our responsibilities weighed on all of us. He tried his best to ease that burden. Cade's final mission was to prevent a breakout at the Prison of Elders in the Reef. Things didn't go as planned.
And there it is. I already know he will die in this mission. Oh, sorry, did I spoil it for you? Well, Bungie doesn't care, and anyway, I still don't know who he is, and why should I care that he dies? I found this really frustrating. But I'm told that I'm helping him to prevent a breakout from a prison. Remember this for later. But it's hard to focus as genuinely these set pieces are amazing. The entire environment is amazing, and I know by modern standards, it's nothing crazy. But for a free-to-play game, again, this needs to be admitted. The detail here is amazing. I'm getting distracted. Back to the plot. I fight some prisoners who are also fighting themselves. Then I fight another wave while Cade gets the door open for me. Once I'm inside, Cade just pretends that we have known each other forever and that we're best buddies.
Oh, you missed a truly masterful performance.
But you have to understand, me, at that moment, as the player, was so confused as to who this person is and why is he just pretending to know me. Obviously, now I get that it's just a sample of an entire expansion, but I did not realize that back then. So he pulls a lever, and all sorts of things go wrong. So to fix it, he presses all the buttons in front of him.
Press the red button.
They're all red!
Then press all of them.
And more things go wrong, and I'm told I need to go out and find a different lever to pull, accompanied by a pretty sick soundtrack, I gotta admit.
Hey buddy, what do you think of my new guns?
But uh-oh, after I pull the lever, yet more things go wrong.
Looks like we're all done and dusted here, kiddos. Ramen's on me.
Looking pretty.
And wait a minute, who is this now? If you're confused, don't worry, so am I. Now, this previously unseen character pulls a lever, and guess what? Things go wrong.
No, 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 no! Cade! He's gone! This isn't a prison riot! It's a prison break!
Was to prevent a breakout at the prison of.
Yeah, I know.
The airlock on Deck Zero. It's the only way out this far down. They're going to escape.
Not if I get there first.
Cade?
Then we're treated to this masterpiece of a cutscene.
Never felt better. You see that, Petra? Petra? Guardian? Must have knocked out the comm relays with that spectacular landing. And cue the ominous music. Okay, everybody. Back in your cages. I said, back in your cages! Yeah, that hurt. Sorry, not sorry. That's it. Now I'm pissed. Oh, is that really all you got? Help me out here, little buddy.
Obviously, while that was happening, me and Petra were getting some bubble tea, but after we decided to check on him. I fight my way through some guys and am rudely abrupted by Cade being finished off by the guy selling the season pass. I guess Cade didn't pay this season. Quiz time! Why did I fire off all of those dudes in front of the gate right before Cade died? A. To save Cade. B. They stole my bubble tea. C. Plot question mark? Or D. I don't know. That's right. I don't fucking know! I thought it was to save Cade, but he just fucking dies anyway, and I get nothing but a cutscene telling me that Odrin is dead. Who is Odrin? Is he the season pass guy? After the mission, I was a bit confused as to what I'm meant to do now, but the timeline was pulsating, so I went there and was prompted to play Crux of Stasis. So I suppose Shadowkeep isn't important then? So what's revealed here is that the world isn't so two-dimensional after all, and the darkness isn't necessarily bad, but what is for sure is these pyramids are the source of the darkness. The way this orb is the source of light. So Destiny 2 is basically geometry wars. Basically, I make my way through a bunch of enemies, I touch this pyramid and get these sick frozen powers. You know, when I played this, I was super hyped. I found this really cool and I got a while to play around with these new powers. Sadly, the power was taken from me immediately and that was it. I mean, to be clear, that was like an hour of gameplay, but nothing much happened other than a bunch of exposition that in context means nothing. I continued to follow the prompts and launched the Witch Queen mission, where we're explained how the Witch Queen has stolen the light somehow and her forces are immortal like us now. The mission was cool, the background was amazing, yet again, like always in this game, and I got to use a sword to smash stuff, until I got to this guy. I killed him easy peasy. Right? But I was too distracted with the other small enemies to read what was literally in front of my fucking eyes. So the knight kept respawning and I didn't know how to end the fight. I killed this guy more times than I cared to count. The recording of this event is 20 minutes. I had to stop many times and think about how to kill him. I tried shooting ropes so a statue would fall, or shooting the crystal, or jumping. Everything until I just went to Google. And I even struggled to find the solution there until I went to YouTube and got my answer. I just had to press G for the finisher and that ended this never-ending nightmare of a fight. In the cutscene after, I was revealed that the Traveler gave the Queen the power of the light and then they somehow found out about the Witness, who was the true enemy all along. But all I could think about after that was to close the game and go touch some grass, as my stupidity was exhausted. My journey obviously isn't over, but Destiny 2 is a really big game. I still need to see the rest of the free-to-play story quests. I have an entire planetary system to unlock competitive play and reaching the power cap, but this video has gone on for far too long, and as much as I would love it to all be one neat package, I don't think many people would be watching past the 40-minute mark, so I will be making a part 2. That will showcase the rest of my journey, so please subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when it's out, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.